Hello, and welcome to another episode of Roots and Hoots, a podcast project produced by the Legacy of Hope Foundation. Since 2020, we've been gathering, laughing, learning hard truths, and sharing in community conversations with Indigenous peoples across Turtle Island. Each episode, we learn something new, and we're excited to be sharing this journey with you. Roots and Hoots is about connecting with and celebrating Indigenous people's contributions to their fields of study, work, and cultures. We also speak with allies who share how they are furthering the work of reconciliation in Canada. To learn more about the Legacy of Hope Foundation and the work that we do, please visit legacyofhope.ca.
Hello, and welcome back to another episode of Roots and Hoots. On this week's episode, host Gordon Spence is pleased to be joined by two outstanding staff members at the Legacy of Hope Foundation, Devlin and Hannah Vicaire. Tara and Hannah are the Indigenous Community Engagement Officers at LHF, and together they provide impactful workshops on themes of financial literacy and cultural reclamation to Indigenous communities across Canada. Tara and Hannah share many great stories and lessons learned from their travels, along with what they are looking forward to in 2025. Please enjoy this special episode of Roots and Hoots, part of our new series, Staff Voices.
Hello and welcome to another podcast of Roots and Hoots. I'm your host, Gordon Spence, and today my guests are two staff that work for the Legacy of Hope Foundation, Tara Devlin and Hannah Vicaire. Welcome, ladies.
Thank you.
Thanks.
So we'll start with Tara. Maybe Tara, you can tell us a little bit about your background, your family, and where you live, and your cultural background.
Perfect. Well, my name is Tara Devlin, and I grew up in Carleton Place, Ontario, which is just outside of Ottawa. I'm Cree, so my family is from Chapleau First Nations, up past Sault Ste. Marie kind of area. And my father is an Irish settler, and my family my Irish descent actually settled in Carleton Place in like Lanark area. So that's why we're still there.
So you lived there all your life?
Yes.
Yeah. Okay,
It's a
it's
good
interesting.
little
Yeah, nice little town
Yes,
in the Ottawa Valley.
it is.
Yeah. We
And
did a
there's-
thing there, did we?
Yeah.
We had an event.
September
Maybe we'll talk
30th.
a little bit about that later on.
Okay.
Hannah, how are you, beautiful Hannah?
Good.
What? You didn't say beautiful Tara?
Oh, you're beautiful too.
Oh, no.
Tell us a bit about yourself.
My name is Hannah. I'm from Listigouche Mi'kmaq First Nation, Quebec. It's a teeny tiny little reserve in Quebec. I'm Mi'kmaq First Nation. I've lived on reserve my whole life.
What's the population of the reserve here? It's Listigouche, right? Listigouche?
Listigouche.
Yeah. Oosh or ooch?
Gush.
Gush.
Listigouche.
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 Yeah.
Okay. They used to call it, they say what do they call it? Restigouche, right?
In English is Restigouche, and then
Yeah.
the actual name is Listigouche.
Do you speak your language?
A little bit.
A little bit?
Not very much.
Yeah. Did you grow up on the reserve?
19 years on the reserve, and then this is my first 2 years off living off reserve,
Oh,
or
okay.
3 years or something like that.
Yeah.
Yes,
Do many people speak?
Yeah, there's a good portion, but now there's a lot more like language classes happening like online, and there's a language program in the middle school.
Yeah. Yeah. What about anything unique about your community in terms of like cultural stuff that the people do in on the reserve, like maybe fishing?
Oh yeah, a lot of fishing, hunting, ice fishing, harvesting, so like nuts and berries and stuff like that. There's a lot of sweetgrass down there too, a cedar.
So in certain places where you find sage and cedar and sweetgrass. As a matter of fact, there's an area I used to live in, Orleans, just outside of Ottawa, and I used to drive to work into the city, and there's a section of road on that strip that I used to get a whiff of the sweetgrass.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it grows wild, right? I mean, you can find it in most places in Canada. What about you, Tara? Did you learn anything about your language or your culture?
I did not. So I never had the opportunity within my family because of residential schools and things like that. We definitely had a disconnect of our culture. And so when I was getting a little bit older, I felt like it was my responsibility to encourage my grandmother, my parents, or my mom, and my children to embrace who they are and be proud of who they are. So
Yeah. Did anybody in your family go to residential school?
So my great grandfather went to residential school.
Yeah.
So,
Did you ever talk about it?
so I never got the opportunity to talk to him.
Yeah.
But I know, so because he was a decorated veteran, and my great uncle was as well. There was a CBC documentary about him, and his son was saying, like my great uncle was saying, like he never spoke about it. He never. It was something that he didn't want to
Yeah.
embark on. So
It's something that a lot of survivors, have a hard time talking about, myself included. So I understand. Yeah. What about you, Hannah? Did anybody in your family go to residential school?
My great grandparents went, and that was it. But my grandmother was a 60s scoop. So she was like trying to be religious when she was younger. Well, when I was younger, she would take us to church and stuff. But we told her like we don't want to be here. And then she was like, okay, well we won't go anymore. And then we started going to more powwows. So we were on the powwow trail for a really long time. Yeah. And she was the one that got us into ceremony and all of the cultural practices, I guess. And in school, like we would have from nursery to grade 8, it was elementary and middle school combined. So each year we had a culture class for 1 hour a day, every day.
Wow.
And then
in the school?
In the school, yeah. So it was like a separate classroom that we had to go to. So we'd be learning like dream catcher making, beading, sewing, all kinds of different things. And then the year after I moved out of grade 3, they started a program, a Mi'kmaq program, like a Mi'kmaq immersion. Yeah. So I just missed it, and then I ended up enrolling in French instead because I was like a year too old to get into that program. Yeah. And then in the high school they only had like 2 extracurricular Indigenous classes, so there really wasn't much in there.
Yeah. Istigwich is it's a bilingual community, right?
Yeah.
So do you speak French as well?
I could. Yeah. I don't choose to. I'd rather speak Mi'kmaq, but like they do have Mi'kmaq immersion classes in the school and French immersion. Yeah. So trilingual technically. Yeah. Because we're right on the border of New Brunswick and Quebec. Yeah. So we kind of have to speak French because a lot of the people from the Gaspé Peninsula we're like the hub for people to get to the New Brunswick. So we have a lot of travelers going in and out. So that's why we have to speak French, is because of that, pretty much.
What is that like in terms of what's the relationship like between the reserve people and the town of, was it Campbellton?
Yeah. I mean, it's not great, only because there is the separation in the river and stuff. But a lot of our people go to school there and work there, so we go by New Brunswick time. Yeah. We don't go by Quebec time.
Which messed me up, and I missed my train, and we had to chase it up the coast for 2 hours.
You were driving and you had to catch a train? Yes. Or somebody had to catch a train?
I had to chase it, and then I had a flashlight on the side of the train tracks, and I'm like, please stop, and they did. So thank goodness I made it home.
But yeah, even so when I was younger in high school, some of my friends weren't allowed to come across onto the reserve.
Why?
If I wanted to have a sleepover, because it's a reserve, right? People are racist.
Okay.
Yeah, it's for what you think it is, that's exactly what it is. But yeah, some of my friends couldn't come and hang out, so we have to rearrange our plans and do it even on the Quebec side. So if you just cross the highway, that's the Quebec side.
I think it's to me, it seems it's more than racism. I think I'm just thinking out loud here that I think because it's 2 different cultures of people, right?
Oh yeah, but for me,
you think they're afraid?
I don't know, because so my friend in high school, she was white, living on the New Brunswick side, and her mom was best friends with a girl from the reserve. Yeah. And she still took a really, really long time for her to let her daughter come across. Wow. Even though her best friend was a native from the reserve. Yeah. So that was one thing that I was so it could be racism, but it couldn't be at the same time.
Well, and I can tell you from my experience of being there, speaking to the people who are on the reserve, they're like, oh, you're in the safest place in the world. And let your kids roam and have a good time. Everyone will protect them.
On the reserve?
On the reserve. Yeah. And then when I go across, they're like, oh, are you going over to the reserve? And I'm like, yes, like what's wrong, you know?
And now, a word from our sponsor. For over 40 years, Hobbs and Associates has been working side by side with First Nations communities to ensure that their clients meaningfully benefit from proposed developments in their territory. Located in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Hobbs and Associates works to protect the rights of First Nations communities, implement environmental monitoring programs and community services related to social and economic development. Trusted negotiators and advisors, Hobbs and Associates provides a wide range of consulting services to support First Nations communities. If you are interested in learning more about Hobbs and Associates and the work they do, please visit their website, hobbsltd.ca, or you can call them at 204-947-9243.
Let's talk a little bit about your work at the Legacy of Hope Foundation. I know you guys have been traveling around and doing workshops. Terry, you do something different, and Hannah does something different, and you work together.
Yes.
Maybe talk a little bit, Hannah, for you first. Talk a little bit about what you do.
Me or her?
Okay. You did say Hannah.
Yeah, I was like, you said my name, but you're looking this way. I'm like,
Oh my goodness. So my career before the Legacy of Hope was with banking. So I started as a teller, I moved my way up to private banking, and then decided that that wasn't the career I wanted to do anymore because I wasn't being fulfilled, like emotionally wise and things like that. So I didn't feel like I was giving back to community and things like that. So luckily I got the opportunity to come to the LHF, and we developed a financial literacy. We have a few different workshops that we offer. So we do fraud prevention, which basically everybody has been a victim of fraud in some sort of way.
Me included.
Me too. I worked for the bank for years, so it's their full-time job. They're amazing at it. And then we do the 5 key pillars of finance. So that talks about investments, savings, your assets, even breakdowns of what an asset is. Yeah. We also do budgeting and different things like that. So depending on the community we meet with, and I think the demographic, if it's an older bunch of people, fraud is a really good one for them, because a lot of the times their phone numbers are listed in the phone book still, where none of ours are, none of the younger generation is. So they're the ones that are getting scam calls or scam emails and things like that. And so basically we just go around and we teach that. I guess we have a little bit more of an advantage because when there are some financial institutions that will offer those kind of things, but they don't have the answers, or they don't understand it culturally wise, where some people are brought up to be just you want to be a millionaire, where how I was brought up is you want to take care of your family, you want to make sure your family is taken care of. Or I'm sure you've had that kind of conversation too, your first thing, if you win the lottery, what are you gonna do? I'm I give my parents half. where some people are I'll buy a big truck and I'm moving away and I've never seen my family again, where that's not how I was brought up, right? And so there's different values on how we've been brought up. So I think that when we go into community, people appreciate that because we understand and we have that same type of value.
One of the things that I've encountered anyway is myself, and I'm sure others, especially older people like me, who are in their 60s and up, maybe even 50 and up, seem to be a target of fraudulent scams, on the internet, on your phone, and people need to be aware of that, and some of this stuff is so believable, but people have told me that everything you see on Facebook and stuff is not all true, and most of it is probably false.
Yeah.
Because of AI and stuff.
Yeah, because of AI in particular, right? And a lot of that's where your work really becomes valuable.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, a lot of you hear people being scammed lots and lots of money, thousands of dollars.
I've seen, within the bank, I have seen millions and millions of dollars be lost. Or we've been able to retrieve it, but the thing is the majority of scams that are happening are not even within Canada. So when they leave the country, you can't get that money back. Right, yeah. And the way that I always said it, and even to this day, if you don't think it's me, hang up the phone and call me back on the number that you trust, because they have programs now that you can change your phone number. You can make videos where it actually sounds like me. Like, I have a pretty distinct voice. So my dad knows if it's me if I'm calling, but there's videos of me all over the internet. Yeah. So people can go and mimic my voice with AI and call my dad for money. Or even setting up things like, what are those called? Like a code word or something. Yeah. So if you get this strange phone call, I'm asking for money. Okay, well, what's the password or what's the code? Yeah. And because I had that set up as a kid, if there was ever a stranger that was coming to pick me up and said my parents were hurt or something, I had to have this passcode. So that's kind of what Hannah and I say when we're in the workshop, is something simple. Like, it doesn't have to be like this extravagant code or like you have to do all these things. Like,
yeah, the other thing I noticed, like, it's again AI. Okay, I've been told that this is AI generated. Mm-hmm. When the Prime Minister talks, and he's telling Canadians basically here's an opportunity to make thousands of dollars without working. You just invest $300 or something like that.
Exactly, you're
but
talking.
Yeah, because you look at them and they're mouthing these
real.
words.
Yeah.
I can see how people get scammed. I got scammed on that, Mm-hmm. And I got scammed, and then these other scammers are trying to help scam me, get my money back.
Yeah.
Like, no.
Because but that's the thing, it's the same scammers because they know that you've been a victim, and it's almost like you go on a list, same building, right?
Sitting next to each other, like.
Well, and that's the thing. So the thing that we live by is, if it sounds too good to be true, it's too good to be true. And because, I've even seen things where, like, in the bank where I'd have people come in and they're like, oh yeah, I got a new job and I'm going to be working from home. But they had to send me a check and they accidentally sent me $1,500 too much. So I have to send that back. And I'm like, so I have a question. Do you think any corporation would accidentally send it and then they would ask you to send it back? No, they're going to cancel the check and they're just going to issue a new one. They don't want to risk giving someone $1,500. Yeah. Like, like, there's things like that, because what would happen is people have cashback limits on their bank card. So say their cashback limit is $2,000. So they put the check in, because it takes about 5 days for it to clear, for it to be okay, because the banks have to communicate, kind of thing. So they put the check in, they take the $1,500 out extra, they send it to them, and then the check bounces within a few days after. So then they're out $1,500. And another thing too is that the older generation, so I want to say back in the day, but it's still my generation. But you used to be able to go to the Independent or the grocery store and you would write a check instead of using your bank card. So a lot of older people think that checks are essentially money. But it takes time for that money to clear. So it's basically like an IOU until it goes into your account. Yeah. And teaching the older generation of being like, that the money is not on there unless it's like a certified check or a draft. And unfortunately, there are people who know how to mimic those things now, because it's just a stamp and a like a signature kind of thing, right? So if you don't know that, you don't know the signs, then there's a lot of ways to get scammed. There's a lot. And I've seen them, the majority of them, and it's shocking. So
I get calls almost every day, I just look at the area code and say, don't recognize it.
But see, they can even change the numbers now. Right? They can change the phone numbers.
Really?
So I can
you can download an app and it'll generate a phone number for you.
Yeah.
And then you can call from that app with the phone number that they gave you.
Yeah.
So my number would be like 3000
pizza or something.
Like 3000. Yeah. And then I can pick a number that's 1482.
Yeah.
And then you'll think it's someone else.
Mm-hmm.
I do that with my dad all the time. I prank call him, so not to scam people, just to scare them because it's cops.
Yeah.
Yeah, even if you call that number back, it's not.
It doesn't
it's not,
work.
Yeah, that's what
It's not a
happens.
real number,
Yeah,
so there's nothing like
yeah,
to call
yeah,
back.
Yeah.
So
if you don't recognize the number, don't answer it.
and
right?
even if you do recognize it and it's weird, it's out of character for the person that you're talking to,
Yeah.
or you have any doubt, you can hang up the phone and call the number that's trusted.
I also had an email from a friend, a good friend, who was told me he was in London, England, attending a conference.
Oh no.
Well, it was kind of believable at first, and he kind of fit that mold. But then he started, and then he tells me he lost his wallet, and he can I send him? Can you borrow $200 off me? And until he gets his thing straightened out. And then so I get another message from the real guy saying, "That's not me,"
Don't send me 200.
But I'm sure that email probably went out to a whole bunch of people.
Oh, for sure.
So you got to, I guess, double check that when
Absolutely.
you get an email from supposedly a friend.
Well, and I've seen I've seen that a lot too, because what they do is they duplicate your Facebook and then they'll go add all your friends. So you can set up things that are a little bit, that protect you a little bit more, so you can hide your friends list and all of these different things. Another thing too that I see, and I've seen family members do it. And when I was younger, I probably did it quite a bit of times. It's doing these quizzes where it's what was your first dog's name, or your mom's maiden name.
Puzzles and quizzes and games.
That's all your security questions,
or even
your banking security questions.
Someone will post a link to the game, and then in their caption, it's "Answer the question below!" !
It's be careful of what you post on social media. Even people are on my way to a trip, and I'm like, you are just trying to get robbed. People know your house is empty now. Stop doing that.
Yeah, I thought of that too.
I always do that when when I come back is when I post, because I don't want people to know, right? People are desperate, and that's the thing, is there are a lot of desperate people out there that may not be bad at heart, but tough times, I guess, calls for tough measures.
Yeah. So just be careful. Be very careful.
Yes.
Extra careful. Yeah. Hannah, why don't we talk a little bit about what you do and with the Legacy of Hope Foundation? I know you're a very crafty person. You're very talented, and you do all kinds of beadwork and sewing. And let's just tell us a little bit about what you do.
So I started with ribbon skirts, and then started learning how to do bracelets, keychains, medicine bags, mittens, drums, moccasins,
Wow.
vests. But yeah, mostly everything except for the ribbon skirt and the bracelets I've taught myself.
Now, when you make this stuff, what do you do with it? You sell it?
Yeah, so the first thing I always make, I either keep or give away. I don't sell it. And then everything else is we sell at the powwow at the booths, and then we'll bring it to other conferences too if we have tables. Selling it online on our website. But yeah, and then whatever I learn how to do is what we usually do in future workshops.
Yeah.
So right now, just recently I learned how to do medicine bags, so now that's going to be some of the few workshops that we're going to do is medicine bags.
Yeah. And you go to powwows, you travel around different conferences, and I've been with you guys at some of these powwows and events. Well, I was going to ask you, is there a website of your work?
So I was gonna make myself an Instagram so I can post everything that I do, but I haven't done that yet. Okay. I just have a catalog almost of pictures. So I have workshop pictures, group photos, and then pictures of just the products itself, so people can look through it and see what other people have made and what I've done.
Because you do a lot of beautiful stuff. I mean, the skirts you guys are doing out there and your bracelets are just incredible. And I guess what I'm trying to get at is how can people order your stuff? If the, you know,
We sell it on our website.
Yeah?
So
Yeah.
if we do have like a surplus, because her material does get sold pretty fast. But when we do, right, because we've had such a busy year, we don't have like a surplus of skirts at the moment. But now that I can sew a bit too, we're starting to work on getting kind of more of an inventory. And once that's up, they get posted on our website. So if there is a skirt that's available, we post it on our website.
our website, meaning LHF website?
Yes.
So
Okay, which is what?
www.legacyofhope.ca.
yeah. And then so what we usually do is like if I have like let's say 30 skirts, I'll keep like 10 aside for the website because not very many people shop from there, and then I'll take the rest to powwows.
Okay. Describe something you've learned from your work at the Legacy of Hope Foundation.
Patience.
Patience?
Patience.
Yeah, that's a good one.
1000%. I've never had patience before, and I feel like I have so much of it, and I can give it away to everybody else now.
Yeah.
With me, it's not learning, listening, because there's so much. You know, I'm a talker. I love talking, but in order for you to learn, you have to listen. And
There's so much information all of the time, everywhere we go.
And exactly, different nations, different places that we go, they have so many different teachings. And in order for you to be able to take that in, is you have to stop talking and listen.
Right. Which kind of leads to my next question. That you've traveled together throughout Canada for the last few years, going to many Indigenous communities, conducting your workshops. Is there one place in particular that stands out in your memory that you found amazing or interesting or unbelievable? Maybe something you learned or not aware of previously.
Oh.
I'll let you go first because I have
don't
two.
know.
I have two that stick out for me. Actually, three.
No, you go first then. You go first.
Okay, get ready. So, to be honest, the first trip that we took to Winnipeg with you,
That was our first one,
that was the funnest trip that I've ever had because I felt like I kind of stepped out of my shell. And getting off of the airplane and actually seeing, I'm like, everybody's Indigenous here. This is amazing.
Like even the
you know?
like the billboards and like posters and the buildings and monuments. There was so much native stuff. I was like,
Yeah,
wow,
yeah,
I'm home.
yeah.
Which we don't have that experience really. Like in Ottawa, it's getting a little bit better, but it's not.
Like Winnipeg.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like I felt like I was
So
at
native
home
there.
there,
Yeah,
you know.
okay.
And like we went to a full moon ceremony when we were there, and Willie or Billy? Willie took us out to the Louis Riel monument.
No, that was Sam.
Oh, okay. Willie's a singer.
No.
That's Errol. Errol's
Yeah,
a
Oh,
singer.
I'm getting all confused.
We've been traveling
You know
too
what I'm
much.
trying to say.
Oh
There's
yeah,
so
I
many
forgot.
people.
So Gordon and Hannah and I and Arrow had like the best time singing in the park. Remember that?
Yeah.
And you know, just that was a fantastic experience. Another one was being out in BC and our luggage was lost. And Hannah and I and Teresa had to go to Shoppers Drug Mart because we had a workshop.
Yeah. So we only had enough time to like
Go to Shoppers Drug Mart
yeah,
and use the
go to-
testers.
yeah.
But then we
Yeah.
had this beautiful hike.
That's true.
And we got to like, because it was January when we were there, or February, and there was so much moss and like it was like springtime, so it was a nice break from being over here in Ottawa. And you know, we went
BC's like that, eh?
oh, it's so beautiful.
Yeah.
Gorgeous.
And like their friendship center was lovely. So we were in Courtney, correct?
Yeah.
And it was beautiful there.
Yeah, because we started in Nanaimo and then went down
And
that way.
lovely. And then I have to say the Yukon.
Yeah, I was just gonna say that the Yukon, when we saw we were like going for a drive and we stopped at like their planes is like our 4-wheelers. So like on the reserve, everyone has a 4-wheeler to do everything. Like you'll see someone loading up their 4-wheeler at the grocery store. So the equivalent to that is they have planes. So everyone just has a plane in the Yukon, right? And then so we drive down to this thing,
And they're all
and
parked on like the water.
yeah, just
Like
hanging out
boats.
like boats, and then
Like
we
on the
see this.
reserve?
Yeah, it was in Yukon.
Well,
like,
the Yukon
wherever we were.
doesn't. It's not a. So they don't
You don't
have.
have a reserve, they have towns, eh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So it's not like a reserve. It's because they're their own like governing nation.
Really?
Yeah.
So
they
they're
don't.
like their own people. Like they
Wow.
don't have to answer to anybody.
They don't have to stay
right?
on the res.
Yeah, exactly. They don't gotta stay with her. But yeah, we just went down to the thing and we just saw a plane flying around, drove up the hill, and we were like wondering if we're gonna see the plane again. You never know. And then we saw him come around. We're like, oh, we'll just take a video. And then we got a video of him landing. And then we were like, there's no way we could actually talk to this guy. Like he's probably like home or something. We're driving by. We see him get out of his plane. So Tara's like, let's go talk to him. We find out that he's owner of this, like, what is it called? Yeah, so he'll bring you skidooing, harvesting, dog sledding, nature walks to show you around and stuff. And he was cool.
Yeah, he was literally flying his plane just to go look at the herd of moose.
Yeah.
And then he was like, yeah, I was just checking out the moose and I'm back now. And
Yeah.
when they go,
Just
so
hanging out.
that gentleman, when he hunts with people, if there's any leftover food and stuff like that, or meat, he'll go and donate to the hospital because they have a program at the hospital there in the Yukon in Whitehorse where if you're Indigenous, you can go on like a meal plan, but it's your cultural food. So like they
I
will
think that
provide
was the
moose and
most favorite part of the trip was hearing him say that.
there's I have to say, like, so we've gone to almost every province
We have
except
3 left.
yeah, we have Northwest Territories and then Saskatchewan and Newfoundland.
Yeah.
And then we've been everywhere else, basically, which is spectacular in itself, like to have that
Yeah,
opportunity.
Of course.
And then to also go to all these different nations. And
So many different people, right? I mean, they're native people, but they're kind of unique and they have their uniqueness almost everywhere.
absolutely. Well, like even, so I know we traveled also to Iqaluit together.
Yeah.
And
That's
Like
a
he-
totally different culture too.
it
right?
is, and it's so connected. Like because I was trying to post in like their social media when we were doing our workshops to encourage more people to come. So I still am on their Facebook group, but like the fact of like because the prices and things are so expensive up there, like the 12 can of Coke was $32, but they share. So on Facebook, if they make something extra, they'll say, I have extra pieces of chicken with some rice and stuff. If anybody would like it, just
Yeah.
pop on
Yeah.
over.
Yeah.
Even on
You know?
TikTok, there's this one lady who will always show up on my For You page, and there'll be people being like just right nasty in the comments, and she's sitting there giggling. She's like, "Oh, you guys are lucky I had my morning coffee," and she's not even showing her face. Like she just keeps her camera pointing to outside, so you just see like the snow going, and she just keeps like just being so positive. I love just sitting in her lives, just listening to her because she's so funny.
But none of it, or Iqaluit is kind of similar to the Yukon that way, where they're like, they have their own governance, right? So, and I have an appreciation for that because that's pretty spectacular that they have that opportunity to do that.
To be able to do that, yeah. It is. Hannah, do you have anything other than what we just talked about?
I'm sorry, I like took
Oh.
over.
No, I think
I think you said it a lot there. You did.
Well, going back to Listigosh when we went moose hunting, because
Yeah.
when we actually did get a moose and we were able to get the guts out and take you clean the inside and then you load it up, bring it home, and we skinned it that day and then brought it to the butchers that day. So
That day
took
was
us-
insane.
It was crazy because we were already late going hunting, and you're supposed to be up there by a certain time because there's the moose are starting to wake up, and you have to kind of catch them in their slow period where they're not really kind of doing anything.
Yeah.
And so I think we only got up the woods at like what 9 o'clock, 8, 9
Yeah,
o'clock.
it was something like that.
And then
I
we
slept
shot
in.
the moose. Yeah, we shot the moose by.
Who shot the moose? You?
No, it was my friend Tanner. So he was the one that actually took us hunting.
Yeah.
And he shot it around like 11 o'clock, and we got it by the butchers by 4:30. So usually, what was a 2-day process, we did it in a day.
And where did the meat go?
Oh, and I gave some of the meat to one of the knowledge keepers that was with us is his name is Arel, and so he got some moose meat. Tanner got moose meat. We got moose meat, and then we donated a box to the Elders Lodge, like the old age home that we just got. Yeah. So that was nice.
That's a cultural activity that's tradition that's gone thousands of years old.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh yeah. It's a big
It's
thing
almost
in
right
the
across. It's almost right across Canada, right? I mean, almost every First Nation tribe or band reserve has this tradition that they've done for thousands of years.
Oh yeah.
And the Inuit in the north have hunted caribou for thousands of years. And I guess the Métis learned how to hunt the buffalo in the plains areas of Canada. So
yeah, down home it's like salmon fishing, ice fishing, like smelts, rabbit, deer, moose. Not very many people hunt deer, but it's mostly moose. But people still will do that.
Well, and I can say too, so I've never experienced hunting until that excursion, that teaching. And, you know, I thought I was really uncomfortable at first when we were going, because I was like, I'm scared of what's going to happen. To see a life be taken, it was very like peaceful. It wasn't like traumatic. Then also knowing that that moose was shared within the community, you were able to keep its fur, and like there's so many things. Like also Hannah's little cousin was there, and for her to experience like us like skinning the moose and her touching it and like understanding, like she had no fear in that, you know what I mean?
Oh, she was right into it.
Yeah.
Like, she was probably skinning that moose for 2 hours.
Yeah.
I'd say.
And like Hannah's whole family was there with us. So like her 2 cousins as well. We all got to experience that. And then at the end of the night, we went up to the hunting camp and had like a beautiful feast. And we ended up making little mitts.
Meat crafts, and had moose steak and Luskinigan.
Interesting story.
We have lots.
Good.
Oh yeah, that's one of them.
I guess we could sit here and talk for hours, or you ladies can.
It's gonna be the longest podcast episode ever.
Couple more questions. In the last couple of years or so, people have been talking about reconciliation and trying to bridge the gap between Indigenous people and non-Indigenous people and create a better understanding and better life for Canadians as a whole. So when people talk about reconciliation, like what comes to your mind? Tara, maybe you want to start?
So one thing that I think that would help foster reconciliation within Canada is if the education system would adapt to it and make it mandatory to teach in school, just like the Holocaust and different things like that.
Yeah.
I agree 1,000%.
Because it's not mandatory. It's only if the teacher feels comfortable, which a lot of non-Indigenous people don't feel comfortable because they are worried that they're going to teach the wrong thing or say the wrong thing, and so they don't have the proper support by the education system at the moment or the encouragement to be able to instill that. Because truthfully, I think the way that reconciliation, how it has been happening is it's the youth that is really pushing it. There are strong leaders that are coming. Yes. And, they're savvy, so they know how to use the internet. They know there's so many different options that they are able to spread the information that needs to be said, because there are doubters, or there are people who have questioned things. Well, we have the data, we have the research, we have personal experiences, we have the knowledge now that we can say, no, this has happened.
We also have, at the Legacy Hope Foundation, there is
education
material that teachers can use to teach their students.
Absolutely. And that's one thing, like when Hannah and I travel into communities, we try to, because the LHF has significant amount of resources, things that they can help. So if you're non-Indigenous or if you are Indigenous, we have survivor portals, we have education, we have food sovereignty, we have podcasts, we have cultural revitalization workshops, we have financial, like we are well-rounded and we have a lot of different resources that we can offer. And when we go into the communities and we spread that, that's our way of fostering reconciliation, because it's not just one thing that needs to be done. There's a lot of different things, because there's healing, but there's also mending the bridge between non-Indigenous people and Indigenous people, breaking stigmas and barriers down and things like that.
It kind of reminds me of what Hannah talked about on her reserve.
Absolutely.
Trying to bridge that gap, right?
Yep.
Well, even at our high schools, my grade 9 and 10 year, I didn't even really realize, but our teacher was teaching, like she said, we would be learning about Holocaust for 3 weeks, and then we would learn about residential school for 2 days. Yeah. And then for us, there was only 4 Native kids in my class out of 14, so already there's like that gap there. But only my grade 11 year was when I realized that was wrong. And to me, it didn't make any sense, because you're 5 minutes away from a reserve with countless and countless of people who would be more than willing to come in and talk about even anything. So I only realized my grade 11 year that it was like wrong, that there was nothing really happening or going on.
Well, when we were in community that one time, like a lot of people think that it was hundreds of years ago that this has happened. And the last residential school closed in 1997.
Yes.
So
And it went on for 160 years about. Like, it's incredible.
exactly.
And how the non-native people, how little they knew about what was going on. It was really unbelievable.
Just finding out that there's things people call Native people, and they're like, well, what even is Native people? What is that? It's like, well, we've only been here since forever, but I guess I can get it.
Well, and I think the thing that I feel has a big impact when I'm speaking to people who say are not Indigenous is that every Indigenous person in Canada, or even on Turtle Island, has been affected by residential schools. In some way or somehow, there's some type of trauma that has traveled down. And Hannah and I actually went to a screening yesterday of sugarcane. And so I think we had around 139 schools, or 100 something around that. In America, there was like 408 or 480. I can't remember the exact number, but it's something like that. I was like, oh my goodness, like
480 what?
Schools.
Residential schools in the U.S.
Oh, residential schools. Okay.
So, that means like literally every Indigenous person in Canada has had some type of trauma or something, has felt the effects of residential schools. And I know that I've experienced it within my own family, because like my grandmother, she wouldn't.
Well, it does affect you in some way,
Well, my grandfather didn't go to residential school. I don't think he went to anything, but when him and my grandmother were together and they had like my mom and my aunt and my uncle, my grandmother would try and talk to my mom and her kids in Mi'kmaq, and my grandfather told her, no, like, you are not to be speaking that language if I can't understand. I need to know what you're telling them and what they're saying to you.
Your grandfather was non-native?
No, he's Native, but that was like the effect of residential school, right?
Oh, he
was
didn't
just
understand?
He didn't get it. He didn't.
okay.
He didn't know the language. So
Yeah.
when my grandmother was trying to teach my mom and my aunt and my uncle, it was a big no-no because he couldn't understand, and it was like he was offended almost, like it was like hurt by it, and now because of that, I don't speak my language. My cousin doesn't speak our language. None of us do. The only one that's really furthest in speaking their language is my youngest cousin, and she's the youngest of the family. And the only reason that is because there was the program at school. And when she was in that program, they told her, because a lot of the kids had dropped out, and she was the only one in her grade in the oldest group to be in Mi'kmaq. So they told her, if she quits, the program's done.
Wow.
If she graduates, the program will continue. So she was the first one to graduate with a Mi'kmaq immersion degree in Listugush.
And she had to do it to continue so that other kids had that experience.
Yeah,
which
so
is crazy.
she's the first one with that degree. And then also with that, she can't get a job because she doesn't know French. So she has to get a job on the reserve, which is more difficult because there's not very many places that like on the reserve, because it's all like government buildings and the medical center and like education. Like they can't really hire 16-year-olds to work, you know, so that's already like a difficulty in itself.
And now, a word from our sponsor. For over 40 years, Hobbs and Associates has been working side by side with First Nations communities to ensure that their clients meaningfully benefit from proposed developments in their territory. Located in Winnipeg, Manitoba, Hobbs and Associates works to protect the rights of First Nations communities, implement environmental monitoring programs and community services related to social and economic development. Trusted negotiators and advisors, Hobbs and Associates provides a wide range of consulting services to support First Nations communities. If you are interested in learning more about Hobbs and Associates and the work they do, please visit their website, hobbsltd.ca, or you can call them at 204-947-9243.
Okay, the final question. Do you have any advice for young Indigenous people today?
If
you wanna
there's a
leave-
will, there's a way. That's what I always say to Hannah.
And there's a way, there's a way. Well, what I was gonna say, because I think this is like advice I needed when I was younger, but if you want to leave the reserve, just leave.
Yeah.
If there's nothing keeping you there, then why stay?
And you can always go back.
You can always go back.
Right.
There's always a train, a bus, a friend, carpool, something like FaceTime. But if you have to miss your family for a couple of years to be better, then that's what you have to do.
Yeah.
That's
That
it.
that happens quite a bit, actually.
You know, I think that's another thing, though, is that you can make it better. We can make it better and work together, because, you know, I didn't have the opportunity to grow up on the reserve. But I think that's why me and Hannah kind of mesh so well, because I'm like the urban Indigenous girl and she's like the resi girl. And, you know, we complement each other because Hannah, like, I didn't have confidence in saying, so I was obviously growing up, I was white passing. And a lot of people thought maybe I was like Italian or something like that. But they knew I was a little bit different, but they didn't know what.
Yeah.
They
And
knew you were
so-
brown, not what kind of brown.
And so, you know, and it was funny because for so long, I didn't know where I fit in. And then once I had the opportunity, I was like, this is me. Like, I finally found out. And then, you know, actually like accepting who I am and having the confidence to say who I am. And, you know, we all don't have the chance right away, but it's okay to learn. And, you know, if there's a will, there's a way. If you want something, if you need something, there are always ways. Like, there's always going to be barriers in front of you. And especially as
Indigenous person.
an Indigenous person, where there were a lot of barriers put up for us. We are here now, and we don't have to go to residential schools. There are still things out there that affect Indigenous people on the daily basis. But if you're strong, like, just keep strong, be strong, and move
Leave
forward.
if you have to.
Leave if you have to.
Yeah. And then you
Don't
can go
give
back
up.
being the person you needed when you were there.
Well, and that's the thing, right? Be who you needed. And then that way you can be a strong advocate for your community and for the kids in your community.
Well said, yes.
There's a lot of kids out there that do need a little bit of guidance, or, you know, or even we meet older people. Sometimes I need guidance. But if you find you're like, you don't necessarily have to be with your family or certain friends you grew up with. People grow, and like, I'm 100 years old compared to Hannah.
Oh, cripe. Get out of here.
And it's funny, my kids are closer in age to her than I am to her. But, you know, I learned so much from Hannah, and that's a listening thing, because it doesn't matter how old you are, there's always things that need to be learned too.
So what's the what are your future plans? I know it sounds like you're comfortable with what you're doing. What do you have?
love what we
What's
do.
you love what you do? Okay. What's in store for 2025, 2026?
Well, Hannah and I are going to learn our own languages. So I'm going to learn Cree, and
Yeah.
Hannah's learning Mi'kmaq.
I actually just emailed some lady from our reserve to get us into some language classes online.
Wow.
So I'm going to be a Mi'kmaq language speaker queen soon.
And we're also traveling throughout Canada again. So there are a few places we need to stop at, and like we pair our workshops together. So like we have the financial literacy, but we also do cultural revitalization, because speaking about money is not an easy thing. So when you put out a financial literacy, people are like, oh.
I'm not going. Then I'll go.
So if you have...
Well, it's more important now than it was before, right? With all the scams that are going on, right? Fraudulent activities.
Before, I've never even heard of financial literacy.
Yeah, neither did I.
Like, and now I'm seeing it all over Facebook and social media.
Well,
Everyone's
and the
doing
thing
classes
is, a lot of people don't realize that there are so many opportunities to make money out there without even leaving your home. You know, if you're a mom, you can make ribbon skirts and you can sell them online now. Like, there's so many different opportunities to make passive income. And that's where our workshops intertwine. And, you know, like, again, if I can make a ribbon skirt and I understand like Facebook and things like that, I can have a small business. And there are so many opportunities out there. And sometimes you just need somebody from outside of the community, or you need to hear another voice that's maybe not your parents. I know my parents could say something to me and I'm like, yeah, okay. And then if say Hannah says it to me, I'm like, Hannah said this, you know? So sometimes, sometimes you need to hear it from a different source.
A friend.
And exactly. And that's what Hannah and I are trying to do, is be that friendly person, that friendly connection that is going to give you that different opinion or view that you may not have. And, you know, we always want to be open to, like, I don't want to be like that old banker that's coming in.
Yeah,
It's
I
like,
feel like in the workshops we're not like really like teachers or like facilitators. Like, we're like just your friend.
I'm like,
Hey,
listen,
we're coming to hang out for the day. Like, what's up, guys? You know,
I've had money problems. I've had these kind of things,
Yeah.
you know, we are normal human beings. I'm not a multimillionaire by any means. Not yet, at least. I'm going to win the lottery someday soon. But we're just normal people coming from different communities. And, you know, we're
not as scary as we seem. Like,
I know.
we're so chill in the workshops, just hanging out.
Yeah.
Well, and that's the thing, right? And make friends. Like, and it's funny because we're there to teach, but we learn so much as well.
Yeah.
So.
Okay.
Yeah. Thanks,
Awesome.
Gordon.
Awesome job. Thanks for doing this, taking the time out to do this from your busy schedule.
No problem.
And I really enjoyed talking to you, and I'm sure our listeners will get the same, you know, positive feel.
Make sure you guys call us if you want to workshop in your community.
You better like it.
Okay, thank you very much.
Thanks,
Thank
Gordon.
Tara Devlin and Hannah Vicaire.
Bye.
Roots and Hoots is a podcast project produced by the Legacy of Hope Foundation. For episode show notes, please visit the podcast description and make sure to like, subscribe, and leave a review. For more information about the work we do, please visit legacyofhope.ca.